Thank you.
Hey guys, happy holidays. Thank you for recognizing a BOE student. Congratulations to Louis. I want to thank all the parents who waited for 2 hours for their chance to speak. Superintendent Selesnik, you don't have an easy job. We got to see some of that a couple hours ago. Thank you for your information on the opportunity for parents to meet with Dr. V. I'm looking forward to it. But please keep the parents and the community involved. I just heard you speak about a stakeholder meeting you were going to have to discuss the elementary schools. I feel like that's something that we've been asking for. So I was kind of confused by that. I don't know why we haven't had that over this issue. I'm going to switch gears now. Since the year 2000, the CDC has been tracking the prevalence of children with autism in the US. Last week, they issued a new report, and the numbers have increased from 1 in 54 to 1 in 44 over the span of 2 years. 10 years ago, that number was 1 in 88. And now we're at 1 in 44. So the numbers of autistic kids have doubled in 10 years, at least the diagnoses has. Overall prevalence in boys is 1 in 27. So if you do some quick math, we have 3,000 kids. That's about 70 diagnosed autistic kids. More than 50 of them are going to be boys. When they do this study, the nearest geographic area to us that was surveyed was New Jersey, and they had a prevalence of 1 in 35. So it's likely that New York State is also higher than the national average. Now, these increases may not mean that there are actually more autistic kids. It probably reflects improvements in diagnosis and identification. That being said, more diagnoses mean more services required. So this latest report, I'm not sure if you're aware of it or if you've seen it, but it says, quote, this is critical information to providers, particularly public schools, of future service needs. This information should be used to plan for future resource and service needs. So I'm not sure if you're aware of this new report, but I'd like to know what the Board of Education and administration are doing. You talked about a master plan earlier, but what are you guys doing to prepare for the continuously increasing number of autistic students and the resulting special services requirements? Or if you're not doing anything, please be aware of the study and take heed. Switching gears again, I don't know if Trustee Burke has personal issues or not, but I'm a little disappointed that he's not here, considering there's only one BOE meeting this month, and the next one is not for a month away. But he made comments on November 4th. He said he doesn't think anyone really understands how much you guys care for the vulnerable students. He said it's difficult to sit there and be told that you don't care when it's clear that you absolutely do care. He said you guys are taking steps and actions. He said sometimes it's difficult to talk about, but rest assured we are. So I emailed him and I asked him to elaborate on those steps and actions, specifically what's been done since these issues first came up in May. When I emailed him, I again applauded the visit by Dr. Volkmore. I applauded the revision to the restraint policy, but I said, those are two things that I'm aware of that have happened since May. Is there more? And I guess similar to Hope, I got a response saying that President Schiff would reply on his behalf. It's also similar to Hope. I don't understand why he can't explain his own words. I don't know why Ms. Schiff has to do that for him. So I think in today's opinion piece, Ms. Schiff, I believe you tried to communicate this response. You brought up some ESY events that happened in 2018 through 2020. Of course, this was before the May event, or when we brought these issues up in May. But it does seem like the board was taking credit for safeguarding ESY, which is a federally mandated program under the Individuals with Disabilities Act. So it's unclear to me what the board is claiming it safeguarded. Also, our ESY program is only 3 hours a day, and many districts in New York and BOCES have up to 6 hours a day. So by you bringing up, I counter with our ESY program is weak as far as hours provided. What are you going to do if your kid goes to school 9 to 12? He can't go to a camp after that. So put yourself in those parent situations. I don't know what I'm going to do this summer. My son's going to be home after 12 and there's no camp I can put him in. Ms. Schiff, you then said that the BOE fully funds services agreed to by the Committee on Special Education. Again, I understand that under federal law, kids are entitled to a free and appropriate public education, and this is a guaranteed civil right for students with identified disabilities. So are there any grounds where the Board of Education could deny the agreed upon services? Or are you guys really thinking that you're going above and beyond by approving what the CSE recommends? You mentioned a recent hire of a psychologist, but you failed to mention the corresponding reduction of 3 special education teaching assistants and 5 full-time special education teaching aides. You mentioned the revised policy. You mentioned the visit by Dr. Volkmar. Great. But again, I respectfully ask, I wanted to ask Trustee Burke, but I'll ask the whole board, please clarify the steps and actions the BOE has specifically taken since these issues were brought up in May. Dr. Rifkin, earlier you gave your medical opinion on vaccines. I personally agree with that opinion. In your medical opinion, are restraints dangerous? How about 30 of them? What is the view of your medical practice? The American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry and the American Academy of Pediatrics supports the Keeping All Students Safe Act, which, as you know, prohibits seclusion and severely limits physical restraints. Dr. Rifkin, do you support the Keeping All Students Safe Act? Finally, you guys are all educators and BOE members here. I'd like to know, how would you honestly grade yourself on your overall handling and response to the issues brought to your attention in 2021? Here we are at the end of the year. Would you give yourself an A, or do you recognize that some things could have been done a little better on your end? Have you ever thought in retrospect, you could have, you should have simply apologized to the family for the mistakes made regarding the use of restraints? Do you think that could have avoided some of what's happened? I think so. I also think you guys missed out on a really good opportunity at the town hall. I think it would have been, we had a good discussion, those who attended. I think it would have been a respectful discussion. I think you would have gotten something out of it. We would have gotten something out of it. And I think it would have been a step forward. And I think you guys missed out on that. Okay. Thank you for your time. Have a good New Year.